Hey everybody, welcome to Home Life 365. The garden is starting to come in and today I want to make sweet pickle relish. And today I'll be using cucumbers, yellow squash, zucchini, bell peppers, and onion. So I wanted to bring you along. I'm going to start by loading my jars in the dishwasher to get them sterilized. And I'm going to begin chopping up my vegetables in small cubes. To get my vegetables chopped very small, I'm going to use a chopper. The one I have is a Mueller. I will leave a link to this in the description below. The reason I like this one is because it comes with two different blades. Actually, it comes with four blades, but it comes with two for chopping, and one of them is a large. You can see, try to get that in here, try to get large squares. But the one that I like to use when I'm making relish is actually small squares. So I'm going to be attaching this and I'll be slicing my vegetables and then putting them in the chopper and chopping them really small. Some of the vegetables I will probably chop in the food processor just to get them a little bit smaller, but I don't want everything food processed. I want to have chunks, so that's why I'm going to use this chopper. Okay, that was the start of our sweet pickle relish. I used about 11 small to medium-sized cucumbers. I used one medium-sized zucchini and one medium-sized straight neck yellow squash. I also used 2 yellow onions and half of a red onion and 3 bell peppers. So about half of the ingredients I put through the Mueller chopper, and the other half of the ingredients I ran through the food processor, and I mixed it all together. And there's no reason really why I used what I used. It was just what I had. I would recommend, if you have a red bell pepper, that you use it in there because it'll add beautiful color. You saw the green and the yellow, and it does look good, but the red, little red pop would be really nice in there, but I wasn't going to go buy one for it. So I added 1/4 cup of canning salt, and I'm going to put a lid on this, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, and it's going to set for at least a couple hours, but maybe overnight. It may be tomorrow before I finish this up. The reason you want to add the salt to your cucumbers and squash is to draw the water out. And in the morning before we mix everything up, we'll drain the water off and rinse the salt off. And I'll be back with you in a bit when we finish it up. Welcome back. It's been about 2 hours since I salted my vegetables and put them in the refrigerator. And I have them here. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I think you can see how much water has came off of them. The next thing I want to do is put a colander with a cheesecloth or a tea towel in it and rinse and drain the vegetables and squeeze it out as much as possible. I don't have any cheesecloth, so I'm going to use a clean tea towel. And I just want to wet it. Just getting it wet to make it easier for the liquid to drain through, and it'll also make it easier for me to twist it around to drain the vegetables and squeeze the juice out of it. Now you can see, I hope, how much water came off of the vegetables. You can see it there. I'm just gonna pour this in. So that was about half, and I'm going to rinse this with cold water. I'm going to pull that chunk out that's a little too big. I'm just going to gather this towel up, and then I'm going to give this a good squeeze to try to get most of the water out of it. And I'm going to give it another rinse. I just want to make sure that I get most of that salt off of it. I don't want this to be a salty relish. Now I'm just going to allow this to set in the sink and continue to drain some, and I'm going to give it another good squeeze after we get the brine prepared. Okay, I'm ready to start on my brine, and I have my canner out and I have water in it, getting it hot. Now this is a pressure canner, and a pressure canner is not required for this. I'm going to water bath can it, but I don't have a water bath canner. I only have a pressure canner. So to use the pressure canner in place of a water bath canner, you just want to tighten the lid and seal it to create pressure. You're just going to let it boil over the jars. So for the brine, I'm going to bring you down to the stove. I'm going to start my brine with 3 cups of white sugar. I'm going to add 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, or if you don't like apple cider vinegar, white vinegar will work just fine. I want to add a tablespoon of celery seed. Barely enough. I'm going to also add a tablespoon of mustard seed. And I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm going to give this a stir. And I want to bring this up to a boil. Okay, I gave that a stir. I have this over medium-high heat. And once it comes up to a boil, I will bring you back and we will add our vegetables in. My brine had came up to a boil, so I added in my drained vegetables. I drained them really well, got them as dry as I could before I put them in. Now I'm going to bring this back up to a boil, and once it comes to a boil, I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes and let it cook for 10 minutes. Now this recipe, if you decide to make it, if you don't have squash or zucchini, you can make this with all cucumbers and it'll just be a regular pickle relish. If you don't have any cucumbers and all you have is zucchini, you can make this with all zucchini to make a zucchini relish. I've done that and it's very good. The yellow squash is optional in any of those recipes. You can use it if you have it, or if not, you don't have to. And like I said earlier, the bell pepper, if you have yellow or red, it would add a little bit more color in here. Instead of it being so green and yellow, you would have the little bits of red in it and it'd be really pretty. So I'm just going to bring this up to a boil. I'm going to let it boil for 10 minutes and then we'll be ready to add it to the jars. And I do have water coming up to a simmer back here to put my lids in. And I do have my water bath canner going, bringing that water up to a boil. So I will see you back soon. Okay, the relish has been cooking for about 10 minutes. You can see that it's cooked down some. There's not as much liquid in it as there was. So this is ready to go into jars. My jars had gotten cold because the dishwasher had been finished for a while. So what I've done is I've dropped them in the hot water in my canner to get them heated. They were sterilized and now they're in boiling water. If you don't have a dishwasher, you can wash your jars and you can put them in your boiling water in your canner for about 3 minutes to sterilize them. And I have put mine in there just to get them hot because I'm adding hot relish and then we're going to put it in a hot canner, so I wanted to make sure that my jars were also hot. So I'm going to try to bring you down to the countertop. I'm going to bring you over to the countertop now so you can see a little bit better. I want to fill my jars to a 1/2 inch headspace. That might be too much. That is too much. See, I overfilled that jar. So I'm going to pull some of it out. This tool is used to measure headspace and also to debubble. You can use this end to debubble, so I'm just going to run this around the edges of the jar. Make sure there are no air bubbles inside it. And I'm going to measure to the 1/2 inch headspace. That is right. I'm going to try to show you another angle. Okay, I wanted to show you another angle on the jar. So I hope you can see it. The jar is very hot. So if you don't have a tool to measure your headspace, on the jar right here, you can see that there are 3 rings. This middle ring, second one, is about a 1/2 inch. The bottom ring's about 1 inch, and the top ring is about 1/4 of an inch. So if you don't have your measuring tool, you can go by that. So I'm going to continue filling my jars. So I have a small bowl here with white vinegar. I'm just going to dip a clean paper towel in. And I want to clean these rims very well. This juice is sweet and it's sticky and syrupy, and it can prevent your rings from, or your lids from sealing. So you want to give them a good wipe down with the vinegar. And these jars are very hot. The vinegar that's left in this bowl, I'm just going to dump in my water bath. We have very hard water here, and adding a little vinegar to your canner will keep the white calcium and deposits from building up on your jars. So I have my lids in hot water, and I just want to pop them out. I'm going to put them right, put those right on top of the jars, and then put the bands on. The bands just need to be fingertip tight. And I'm just going to put these in the canner. Okay, I've loaded all 9 jars into the canner. This made 9 jelly jars, or 9 half pints. And I have topped off the water to make sure that there's at least 1 inch of water over the jars. And I'm going to bring these back up to a boil. I'm going to cover the pot with a lid, bring it back up to a boil, and once it comes up to a boil, I'm going to let it process for 10 minutes. So I'll be back then to show you how they come out. My timer just went off. The jars have been processing, boiling for 10 minutes. So I'm going to turn them off. I'm going to take them out. As you remove your jars from the canner, be sure to keep them straight up and down. Don't tilt them. And you always want to set them on a towel. Don't set them on a cold countertop, because the temperature change could cause your jar to crack. I'm going to cover these with another dish towel, just to slow down the cooling process. And that's all there is to it. So tomorrow we will have cans that are ready to wash and take the rings off. So that's all there is to it. Tomorrow I'll be able to remove the rings and wash the jars, and they'll be ready to label and put on the shelf. I hope you'll try this recipe. I hope you enjoy it. It's a great way to preserve some of the cucumbers and zucchini and squash and green peppers out of your garden, and it's delicious on hot dogs. It's great in potato salad and macaroni salad, and I even add it to my deviled eggs. Really enjoy it. I hope you come back for the next video, and until then, have a great day. I'm going to start out my relish by chopping my vegetables, and I want them chopped very small. For that, I'm going to use a chopper, and this For that, I'm going to use a chopper. Come on, smack.